Okay.
Okay, good to go.
Good evening. Before we start the meeting, I would ask that Mr. Vink have a few words to the group. Jeremy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So as much as you love to see me every so often, I'm going to try and make it my disappearance act again. So I'm going to introduce to you Reno. Reno is our new senior planner. He joins us from, well, last place he was working was the city of Guelph, but before that he's done a number of different locations, both in the public and private sector. So Reno is our new senior planner. I'll be handling committee of adjustment for you from here on in. So just be nice to him. You're kind of nice to me, so be nice to him, and welcome Reno to your committee to answer all your important questions. So thanks, Hans.
I'm a little curious about the kind of nice comment, but okay.
Well, there's sometimes you gave me a rough time, not often.
Good evening, everybody. Before we start, I will remind the committee and members of the public that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Township's YouTube channel. This meeting is being held electronically due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Precautions and measures are in place regarding social distancing to ensure the health and safety of those in attendance at the Township offices. Anyone who registers to participate in this meeting will be invited to speak in order of their appearance being heard. I will now do a roll call of the committee for the benefit of the public watching this meeting. When I call your name, please wave at the camera and say here or present. I, Hans Pockamper, am present and chairing this meeting. Jim Burley, present. Tim Coney,
I'm here.
Linda Dixon,
Present.
Charles Seidler. Charles?
Yeah, he waved.
Okay.
Okay.
Reno?
Here, sorry.
Present.
Nancy Thompson.
Present.
I will now provide an explanation of the procedure for this meeting. Each applicant will be read by Nancy, and she will ask each applicant to make a brief presentation, not to exceed 10 minutes. The committee will then be given an opportunity to question the applicant. Any other person who has registered with the recording secretary and is willing to address the applicant either for or against will then be given an opportunity to speak. Please make sure you have turned on your microphone and video and identify yourself clearly for the recording secretary. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the committee will make a decision on the application. Once decisions on your application is complete, please mute your microphone and turn off the video. You are free to leave the meeting at that point in time or remain and listen for the balance of the applications. The applicants are advised that each application has a 20-day appeal period as required under the Planning Act. The latest day for appeal for the application heard today will be December 14th, 2020. At this time, I will ask if any member of the committee has any pecuniary conflict or interest in any of the applications. Members of the committee?
None.
No. I will now ask Nancy to read the application description. Nancy?
The application tonight being heard is for minor variance A24-2020 for James and Lisa Bennett for the property at 520 Catherine Street South at Grosefoot Corners. The property zone settlement residential with site-specific regulations. The applicant's requesting relief from section 6.4.2 of the accessory building regulations to increase the maximum height from 4.5 meters to approximately 7.5 meters, being the average depth of the finished grade, in order to permit the development of a 100 square meter detached garage on the property. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing dwelling and redevelop the property with a new dwelling and accessory building. I guess it's Scott or Murray is speaking to the application. If you want to unmute your mic, Murray.
Hi, it's Murray here. You good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I can do my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to address the comments in a couple of ways. The project is a nice home that we're building there. The overall front elevation as I have in front of me here. I just want to point out that in the comments it says that they're the same size as far as height goes, and that is not the case. The house average height on the opposite end of the house as from the street would be the left side, whereas the left side is now 8.8 meters tall on the house, whereas we're asking for 7.5 meter on the garage. So it's a substantial drop from the house, which is in keeping with the with what you request. So if you want to take note of that, we're approximately 15% less on the garage as the application is now. So that's the one point. Now I should say Reno and I had a good chat a week or two ago, and Reno, you had called me and asked me if I have the garage and the house at the same height, and I may have said that they're both 10-foot walls. We do have 10-foot walls in the house, but after I went back to the drawings, the way the drawings are presented, we have 9-foot high walls on this accessory building here. So we are already a foot lower. That's part of the reason that we can be at 7.5 meters, not the 8.8 that the house is. So that's another point, and I'm sorry, Reno, that I didn't have those measurements right off the top of my head when you called. So then if we go to point two, when we're talking about the heights of everything, if you can look on your sheet, I'll get the page number here in a sec. It'll be your sheet A2. You will see an existing line of trees there. So what we have done so far is we would like to keep those existing trees behind the accessory building. About 25 feet from between the trees and the accessory building as proposed here on the site plan. And the idea is to save those trees and not disturb those roots. So we don't want to elevate or the elevation higher or take the elevation lower at that point. So the existing grade behind this accessory building is fixed if we want to keep those trees. We can't raise grade, otherwise we suffocate roots. We can't take the grade lower, otherwise we scalp the roots out on that side. So all that being said, if you can visualize then that setting that grade there sets the grade for the front of the house, which then gives us our courtyard grade off of the existing house. So it's very difficult to change the elevation of the grades on this property. Obviously, we could take the accessory building and move it out front further. The natural grade slopes up towards the street. To summarize all that is saying that it is very difficult to change the grade to help accommodate the lower elevation. The basement on the accessory building was drawn at 10 foot. We could obviously change that to 9 foot and make it work, we could gain a foot there. And then the other area to try and accommodate less height is to change the pitch on the roof. So what we have done, like I said, we went and reduced the garage height from the front facade by 16% or so. And then we matched the pitch on to the house, which is 12-12, 45 degrees. So if we not change the grade at the for the tree roots purposes, and we have a 10-foot basement in the house, and we have a relatively level courtyard, then that is the height that we arrived at. The recommendation here is saying, acknowledging that it's difficult to get to the 4.5 meters as per the bylaw or accessory building height law is. This is a suggestion here at 6 meters. If we would go to standard height garage basement and standard height garage main floor, like I said, the garage main floor is 9 feet high, which I think is considered standard. The basement, we could take from 10 foot to 9 foot and gain 1 foot. And the rest we would have to do with roof pitch. So I did a little sketch up here, and if you can see, I'm not sure, can you see that? Maybe not. But what I'm saying right here is we would have to take the roof pitch to half as high, 612 instead of 1212, in order to make a 6 meter plausible. So I would, on behalf of James and Lisa and the township bylaw, say that we have very little, what is the right word? Very little way to make a walkout accessory building work with a steep pitch. And I would hope that the township can see that to make this a relatively flat roof would not look great on this property. Those were my main points. I guess the other point that I missed there would be the grade along the right-hand side of the property. If you can see on A2, we're within 4.5 meters of the right-hand property line. Is a fixed line that we can't change the grade there. So in order for us to reduce height, we can also raise grade as an option, but it's very difficult to do to make the drainage work properly on that side. So the concession that I have right now for the committee, and I'd have to make that in metric, but I think 0.3 meters is about a foot. To take it down from 7.5 meters to 7.2 is doable. After that, we are changing the look of the roof pitch by substantially, which is not going to look good on this property. I guess I'll leave it with you. Hopefully you can have some questions with that.
Members of the committee, do you have any questions of the applicant's representative?
Mr. Chairman, I do. I have a couple if you don't mind. So thank you, Murray, for that presentation. I appreciate that. And I do appreciate being out there and taking a look of the grade of the property and it's sloping down. But there were a couple of other things that were addressed in the planning comments that I need to ask some questions about. I'm just wondering, it's an accessory building, so I get the grade, but I'm hearing walkout and I'm not sure that's really appropriate for an accessory building. And then the other piece is looking at the original sketch that was with the application. It almost looks like there's 2 stories to this building. So there's the concern that the accessory building, as noted in the applications, there may be some use of it beyond an accessory building for garage and storage and et cetera. And I think that's where the concern is coming from, and that's where I have a concern. I understand all the architectural features and trying to keep it in line with the house and the balance. Totally appreciate that. But I would have concerns if there's any indication that the use with a walkout and a second story may be used for other purposes than just an accessory building.
Does the applicant wish to respond?
Sure. I appreciate the question, that a basement garage under an accessory building is more square feet and can be used for multiple purposes. In this scenario though, to eliminate the walkout completely does not change the grade of the trees. Therefore, if I can't speak for James and Lisa, but if I could say for a hypothetical, say, okay, we'll delete or remove the garage completely, we still want to keep those trees though, and therefore the grade doesn't raise any higher at the back of the garage, and the front of the garage matches the house. So the grade differential is what it is.
Does that satisfy your questions, Linda?
I think maybe there is some confusion there, and I respect the fact, and I totally agree with the grade concerns and wanting to keep the trees. That wasn't part of my concerns. My concerns is the use of the basement, and is there a proposed second story, and what's the use of that? And is there a need for that?
Okay, so let's clarify. Sorry, is it my turn to speak?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Okay. Let's clarify a second story. So the main floor of the garage matches the main floor of the house garage. So when we have a basement garage, I'm assuming that's what you're calling your second story. Is that correct, Linda?
Mr. Chairman, through you. So looking at, this is the sketch that I'm looking at that was with the application, and I can see two windows. So to me, that leads that there's a second story, and I understand you have a garage and you have an accessory. So I'm assuming it's still for garage type storage purposes, or is there another intent here? I think is what I'm trying to get at, is what is the intent of this building? What's it going to be used for? Because I think that'll play into some of the concerns that were addressed in the comments, and from my perspective, looking at the difference in the height requirement.
That window, or is it my turn?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, that window is an attic window for appearance. There is no usable space in the attic there. If the window is a problem, obviously we could take it away.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm on the same line as Linda here. What is the intent of this garage that you need two levels to it? What's going to be happening in there?
The top is for car storage. The bottom is for the lawnmower and the garage shop servicing the lawnmower.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that, your comment that the upper part of that is just an attic space not usable. That takes away a lot of the concern about it being used as a residence or something else, and having a walkout with a slope down to a basement area, making that some other use. I can also appreciate that sort of limits the would it be usable for that? So I guess I'm quite comfortable with the fact that it's definitely an accessory building with a car storage and storage underneath. And those are comments just for the committee from my perspective. So I get that part. A question for Rio, just from the bylaw point of view, from not understanding it. So we're taking the elevations off the side of the building, which faces the road, as opposed to say that the faces would be, I'm assuming the main entrance for this accessory building would be off the side to the house. So is there a stipulation in the bylaws that says this is their elevations are from the road in that we're looking at? I don't know, Rio, could you help me out on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is no stipulation in the bylaw with regards to elevation, which way you're looking at it. It's basically the elevation is shown in the bylaw at 4 meters from the height measured. So that's where we're getting it from. That's where the bylaw stipulates. And so it doesn't have to do nothing to do with the elevations themselves or the positioning of the elevations. They can flip the whole thing around too. So it's still the actual height as indicated, measured in bylaw itself.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, to Reno, I take it that measurement is taken from the lowest point.
The average grade, the average finished grade as which is basically the average finished grade of the property itself. So.
Through you, Mr. Chair, another question for Rio. The applicant did mention that there's a downgrade from the road, so the main floor of this accessory building is below road grade already. Is that correct? Looking at the visual appearance coming from the road, the building's actually losing height from the Catherine Street back to the accessory building.
Are you asking me?
Yes, Rio, when you're setting out there and looking at this average grade, because one of the comments is you've commented here that it's desirable for the neighborhood, and I didn't have the exact wording here, but it would look good in the neighborhood. So I was getting to the point of this grade elevation. This elevation is not really because of the location coming down the road. It's actually losing some height or looking big from the road coming down.
Through you, Mr. Chair, my comment with regards to it looks good in the neighborhood. The comment I provided there is looking at the forecast for the minor variance application, and the overall development, yes, is good for the neighborhood because we're developing in that neighborhood. But at the same time, we're looking at the zoning bylaw itself with regards to height. So when you look at that specific regulation and the 4 test, which is the number 3 test, which is does it meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw? At this point, due to the fact that it's being increased from 4.5 to 7.5, in my professional opinion, it's not meeting the intent of the bylaw. So through you again, Mr. Chair, my comment that you mentioned, the development itself, yes, the overall development itself is minor in nature and is good for the development itself. But we're specifically looking at the 4 tests and with regards to the zoning bylaw itself. And the 3rd test is, does it meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw? And in my opinion, it does not.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, through you, one more question for the applicant. Just confirming that a 7.2 meter height would work for this house. I know it's not a huge difference, but it does bring the height down a little bit. Did I hear you say that's something you could work with?
Yes, I can work with that without destroying the architectural nature of the facade from the street. And to answer that other question from, forget his name now, Tim, I think, the height of the garage floor is lower than the street. You're correct.
Any other questions from the committee? how does the committee wish to proceed?
Oh, just, there's the neighbor, just. to
I'm
see-
sorry, yes. We had a neighbor registered.
Okay.
Wanted to speak or not?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm quite happy to just listen to the proceedings. Thank you. I live adjacent on Grandview Drive. Thanks.
Thank you. In that case, how does the committee wish to proceed?
Hey, Mr. Chair, I'll try this and see if I get support. I would move the minor variance application A2420 concerning the property of Plan 1023, Lot 2120, known as 520 Catherine Street. Southwest, requesting relief from 6.4 to the accessory building to increase the maximum height of detached from 4.5 to 7. I would recommend that, or I would move that be approved with a recommendation that it go to 7.2 meters as opposed to 7.5.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Any comments? We have a motion. How does the committee wish to proceed? All in favor? Please show your hands. Opposed? I apologize, I couldn't see everybody.
Everybody, all four are working,
Okay,
all four are working.
motion's approved. Any other comments?
Thanks, Mary, and the applicants. You guys can listen to the rest of the meeting. We literally just have to go over the minutes, or you can unmute and turn your videos off. Sorry, yes.
And I'll remind-
Disconnect.
And I'll remind you that the last day of appeal is December 14th, 2020. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have you, as a committee, read the approval minutes, sorry. Have you had a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? How do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of our last meeting be approved as circulated.
I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Since there's nothing further to discuss, I am going to move that we call it a night.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just to confirm, do we have a meeting in December, Nancy?
Not the live stream. Yes, we do. So the meeting will be Monday, December 21st. And there, sorry, Linda, did you want to say something else?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just working on it, just getting the final approvals on it, and it'll likely come out early next week.
Thank you.
thank you.
There's one signed variance application, a minor variance, and then a combination minor variance consents for a lot line adjustment.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And no Christmas party this year. We're gonna have
Right?
virtual.
No
Yeah.
Christmas here, unfortunately, this year, no. No, so, all right, I will get these guys to sign this decision. And we're good to go, so we'll see you in a month.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I think you guys are way more generous than I would have been.
Okay, so, yeah, so you saw.
Hans, I struggled with it too, so.
Oh, I went and looked at it about 4 times.
Yeah. My kind of thing is like, did we not plan this knowing the bylaw going into it? That's where I really struggle with it too.
Yeah.
But
Yes, I think somebody has a vision of a country estate and
Yes, our.
yeah. Oh, well. Take care, everyone.
have a great evening.